morning, everybody. It's your boy D Max. So let's talk about it. All right. So, in this grand scheme that we live in, we often talk about who are our heroes, who are the people that will stand up, and who's willing to risk it all for what's right. And I remember a year ago, I did a podcast and I was talking about Maya Moore. If you don't know who Maya Moore is, she's a she's a legendary WNBA player. And right in the midst of her career, she decided that she was going to step away from basketball because a close family friend was wrongly accused for a crime and they were wrongly convicted of a crime, and she put her career on hold so that she could help to fight this case for her family friend. And I remember back then asking the question, would anybody in the NBA be willing to step away from their career or risk their career for something that they believed in strongly? And I remember bringing up the name Kyrie Irving because during the time Kyrie Irving was speaking on, different things that was going on in the black neighborhood and things like that, and he was starting to get some headway. And people were saying, well, yeah, he'll get up and talk a good game, but will he really risk his career for something that he feels more important? And here we are today. We have Kyrie Irving, who has been penalized for standing up for his beliefs against COVID. And, I want to take my hat off to Kyrie Irving because, that answers my question. And I'm glad that the answer came out to be what it is. And the answer came out to be that Kyrie Irving is willing to risk his career for something that he deems more important. And I respect that in a person because anybody who allows their title or their career to become their main focus point and their identity, then you have a person who is subject to compromise a lot of things. You have a person who is willing to let some things go and not willing to say something just to keep everything smooth. And I'm glad that Kyrie is not that type of person, and I wish that a lot of other players would follow suit. But I understand the pressure that these guys are under to take care of families, to do this and that. And they have to take these things into consideration before they step out and speak and step out and do things that are contrary to what the NBA is saying. So now, if that's the case, the question remains, what is contrary to the NBA agenda? So if a player is penalized for speaking out about what's taking place in his community or what's taking place in the black community as a whole, and he's reprimanded or he receives some type of penalty for that, then that means there's something wrong with the league. There's not something wrong with that person. There's something wrong with the league. That means the league is in line with all of the racism, all of the negativity that comes with what we're dealing with today as far as division amongst people in the United States and in the black community. And this is something that really bothers me because we talk about it, but we don't talk about it. Everybody know that the league is racist. Everybody know that these owners are racist and all. Well, if that's the case, then why is nobody doing anything about it? There's no hurry to do anything about it. There's no urgency to do anything about it. So why is that? Is that because people are more worried about their paychecks? That's what it comes down to. There's not many people who are like Kyrie Irving who are willing to give up money, who are willing to give up the shine for something that they deem more important. There's not many players that's willing to do it at all, and that is the problem. People speak a big game, and they feel like, um, as long as I say something and let the people know that I'm on their side, then I'll be all right. But I don't have to do any of the work. I don't have to get myself involved in the day to day in order for my. No, that's not true. If you're thinking like that and you're a athlete, then you're a part of the problem and you're a part of the reason why the league will never change is because the athletes will not go on a what's it called? Man, I hate having brain farts this early in the morning, but you go on a strike. Let the NBA strike. I remember they did a strike before for pay. Why is it that they can do a strike for pay, but they can't do a strike for the rights of other people? Why is it that they have to suck it up and keep their head down? Or as Laura Ingram told LeBron James, just shut up and dribble. This is the mindset that goes around any sports organization. Shut up and dribble. Shut up and run the ball. Shut up and hit the baseball. Shut up and kick the soccer ball. Shut up and hit the tennis ball. Whatever your sport may be, shut up and swim. This is what they want. This is exactly the expressed idea of the upper class and the elite. They do not want you to speak out about anything. They want you to be a happy little slave and just go on with your life and as if everything is okay. And if you speak out about anything, then, well, they'll do their thing. They'll shut you down. They'll try to discredit you. You see how they try to discredit Kyrie. Now everybody wants to call Kyrie crazy. That was the trope that went around for the longest. Oh, Kyrie is crazy. He believes in flat earth and Kyrie's got mental issues and they want to bring the whole mental health thing into play. There's nothing wrong with Kyrie Irving for understanding what his value is and what's valuable in his life. But they tried to make it seem like there was a problem with Kyrie Irving because he didn't want to follow suit. You know, he had team members that was mad at him. Oh man, you messing up our chances for the playoffs and stuff like that. Kyrie was like, this is more important than that, man. I'm sorry. You know, I love you. Y'all my team and all of that. And I know I did this contract and said I'll do this and I do that. But there are some things out here that supersedes these contracts. There's some things out here that supersedes what I said I would do for you because this is far more important in the long run in the development of us as a country. But you have some people who feel like he was wrong. Some people who feel like he was selfish and he just allowed his team to suffer while he took a stand on something. Well, guess what? Anytime you take a stand against something, anytime you say no more of something, you're always going to have somebody who's going to be, man, you can't do that. Man, you shouldn't have done that. You know what I'm saying? And things like that make me, you said, I don't know the gist of what you're speaking, so I won't assume. But I have to say, my beef with Kyrie is that he's so smart, he's dumb. He's a part of a generation that watches a bunch of YouTube docs. Well, if that's your opinion, my brother, then that's your opinion. I can't say what that man watch. I can't say where that man gets his information from because there's a lot more other sources outside of YouTube and Wikipedia that people get information from. And knowing who Kyrie Irving is and the availability that he has and resources that he has available, then I'll say this. Kyrie knew something. Kyrie felt something was important for him to stand up for. He stood up for his right to not be forced to take a what's that, the injection. That's what he stood up for. He stood up for his right as a player to not put something into his body that he does not trust. That's what he stood up for. Because you have a whole lot of players who bent the knee. A whole lot of players who was following Kyrie's lead. I'm not going to do this, and nobody's going to force me to. See, this ain't about basketball. This ain't about what everybody's trying to make it about. This is about you having the right to say no to the government who's trying to force you to do something. This is what this is about. It's about your freedom. It's about your liberty to say no. And you have so many people out here who feel like they don't have the right to say no, who feel like they just have to go along with what the government says. And they're so afraid that they will give away their freedoms to the government out of fear. That's what this is about. That's what Kyrie stood up for. You said, so that's what Kyrie stood up for. And two, you said, listen to Kyrie talk. He exposed his lack of knowledge. How many out here don't have a lack of knowledge? Everybody has a lack of knowledge because don't none of us know anything. If we thought we knew anything, then that would just let you know how ignorant you are. So Kyrie going out here and you say he can afford to stand up. He's a millionaire. What about the working class people who can't afford it? You can afford to do whatever you want to, man, because everything is a choice. Everything is a choice. You talk about what we can and what we can't afford to do. We don't know what that man's financial situation is, and we don't know what all he's paying for. We don't know what all expenses he have, and what him being out of the NBA does for that. You know what I'm saying? There was some sacrifices to be made, whether he's a millionaire or not. He made a sacrifice. See, people always try to minimize it because of a person having money, but money is not everything, and money does not solve all problems. So just because he's a millionaire doesn't mean that we're going to take away from the sacrifice that he made, because he did make a sacrifice, and it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about any of that. It was about the point that was being made, is that you are not going to scare me into giving up my freedoms and my liberties. That's what it's all about. So we can take the whole money part out of it and all of that, because it ain't got nothing to do with that. It's about our individual freedoms as human beings in this world. And you said we all fall in line with the government. Do you have a driver's license? Do you pay taxes? Yeah, I do have a driver's license and I do pay taxes. But there are certain things that we have a right to say no to. And when it comes to our body and putting something in our body based on some information that they came up with that we can't trust, I'm not trusting the government and what they're saying about COVID-19, because they don't even know. So when you try to come up with an injection, and you're saying that it's not FDA approved, but it was emergency pushed through, and any one of those, what is it called? Man, I keep having a brain fart, but what is it called? So the shots that were taken, if these things were not FDA approved, which they've been approved now because they got so much flack about people complaining about the fact that it takes at least 5 years to even make a good, well, I'll call it an antidote, because I can't think of the word right now. I'm having a brain fart. But if it takes you 5 years to make a proper antidote, and they rush one through, and you see all of the problems that's coming out of these so-called antidotes, the Moderna, the let's not talk about Johnson and Johnson and how they kill people. And then you have Pfizer, all of these different antidotes that they're trying to use, and they're not properly, they haven't been properly tested. They haven't been properly inspected or anything like that. They just been pushed through the system so that everybody fear can start to subside. But people allow these things to happen because of their fear and fear mongering, and everybody, oh, this many people died from COVID and this many people died from that. But now you come to find out that a majority of the people who died from COVID-19 had at least four morbidities. And what a morbidity is, that means that they had four other issues, underlying issues that could cause their death. But that's not a report they put out at first, because they wanted everybody in so much fear that they would be able to get, that they would be willing to give up their freedoms so that you can have a vaccine, so that you can have peace of mind during this epidemic. So you said Kyrie, he can afford to not play. Ask the janitor, can they afford to not work? Anybody can afford to not do something if they really have it on their heart to do. You know what I'm saying? There's other ways to go about um there's other ways to go about doing things, man. And it don't all have to do with money. You know, there's a lot of things that people risk on a day-to-day basis, and money isn't the most important thing. Yeah, you got to take care of your family. You got to do this and that. I understand that, but I'm not going to stay somewhere that is going to force me to do something that goes against my belief system. I'm not going to stay there. I can find another job. I can find other means of income, but I don't have to do anything. I have a choice in everything. And this is what this is about, choice, because they try to make it seem like you don't have a choice for anything and you have to do this, or you're going to run the risk of being shunned and ostracized from the rest of society, which is exactly what they were doing to Kyrie Irving. So you say Kyrie isn't a martyr. There are way more pressing issues to stand up for, and nobody is. I bet you buying gas or buying this high priced food, you're giving in. Why won't we boycott? Boycott what? Let's talk about the food that you buy, that you feed your family with, that is toxic, or the fast food you ingest. Never crosses your mind, does it? Yeah, it crosses my mind all the time. That's why I don't be eating out all the time, and I eat at home, and I make sure that my diet is a lifestyle. It's not just going on a diet. You know, you can't make assumptions of what people are out here doing and what people are involved in. This is your idea of what's going on, but this does not pertain to everybody. Yeah, food is toxic. Everything in this world has been made toxic by mankind. And you can sit there and boycott, but what is a boycott going to do? What has a boycott done up to this point? There's absolutely nothing to be gained from a boycott. What we can do is put people in place so that we can get some work done from the inside, which is what we are doing. Ain't nobody got time to be out here marching up and down those streets for no reason no more, bro. That's old and that's outdated. We don't do that no more. You say all of a sudden everyone is a revolutionary over a vaccine. Where are these same people when we have other issues that need to be addressed? I guarantee you these are the same people who have a voice in everything else that's going on. People who standing up for vaccines or against vaccines, they're standing up for a choice. Whether you want to take the vaccine or you don't, you still have a choice. We're not fighting over whether you should take a vaccine or not. We're fighting over you having the choice to take a vaccine or not. See, that's what people are starting to get misconstrued. You don't understand that we have a choice in everything. As like you were saying, if you're a millionaire or if you're a daggone janitor, you still have a choice to sacrifice what you're doing whenever you see that there's a bigger need. And whether it's a vaccine or whether it's police brutality going on in the hood, no matter what it is, you got people who are going to make the choice to stand up, and they're going to have to sacrifice something in order to stand up. So to make a general overgeneralized blanket statement that people don't do this and people don't do that, You can only speak for yourself. You can't speak for nobody else because you don't know what they doing out here in these streets. You don't know what they doing in Congress. You don't know what they doing in the local offices in order to get things working. Now, here in Killeen, we just elected our first black female mayor. That wasn't done because people just decided it's time for us to have a black mayor. No, this is a strategic move where we put certain people in position. We put this person in the right place. We made sure that they had the right backing so that they would be able to get this election and get this position so that they can work from the inside and really, really make some changes. Ain't nobody going out here boycotting nothing and walking up and down those streets for nothing. We've done that for over 100 years, and what has that ever gotten us other than tired feet? That's all it's gotten us. So yeah, the time for that walking and boycotting and all of that is over with. That ain't doing nothing but giving the enemy a big target, and we right there putting ourselves in the way of danger for absolutely nothing because boycotts never got us anything. Said you like to believe you have a choice. You was in the military, you know better than that. You have a choice in everything. Even in the military, you have a choice, bro. Come on, man. You think you don't have a choice. They like to make you think you don't, but you always have a choice. When I was in the military, anything I did, I had a choice. I could have said no and walked away, period. Yeah, it would have came with consequences, but so what? I still had a choice to make. I don't know why you think that we don't have a choice in things, but we have a choice in every single thing that we do, say, and experience. You have a choice to either do it or not to do it, regardless of what the consequences are. See, that's what it comes down to. People say they have a choice because they're afraid of the consequence. That's the problem. Not afraid of the consequence. And there are other people out here who are not afraid of the consequences and they will go out and do what they need to do in order to make sure the change is made. Like my Moore. She had a choice. She could have stayed in the WNBA. She could have made her money. She could have went on and did this with a stellar career. But she chose otherwise. Why did she do that? Because understood that something was more important and something was bigger than the WNBA. She had somebody who was in need, and I'm pretty sure that that person is glad that she made the decision that she made because somebody actually got some true liberty in this country and some true justice in this country because of the decision that she made. And there are people out here every single day who are making these choices to go against what everybody else say they should do. There are people out here who making choices to go against everything, but nobody can understand that. So, hold on.